Let's bring in journalist, political analyst, and News Nation political contributor Lindsey Granger, and TV personality and journalist Baker Machado, two of my favorite people. Welcome to the show, guys.
Good to see you,
Thank
Hena.
you. So, Baker, I'm going to start with you. You know, I love covering Veep stakes. I know you two do as well. RFK set to make his decision on Tuesday. Who do you think it'll be?
I think it's going to be Nicole Shanahan, and I think it's because of the money factor, given the fact that she used to be married to Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, who has a net worth of over $100 billion. We don't know how much money she actually has. Forbes actually speculates maybe she has maybe $1 billion or so in her own bank account. But given the fact that she's already got ties to RFK already, she helped, allegedly, according to reports, pay for that ad that we saw during the Super Bowl, which is about $5 or $6 million. And she can help bankroll just getting him in the States to get on the ballot for a lot of places out there. I think it's probably a smart political move for him as well.
Lindsey?
Well, I think that the biggest joke to me was the Aaron Rodgers option, because he has a day job, you know, and they're still acting like they're talking about it, but he has to go to the Jets and do his job, so how does that work? But also, you know, the controversy that comes with him. But I think the most realistic one for me was Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard, because I know that she has done the same thing as RFK, which is kind of step back from the Democratic Party and say, you know, I want to kind of do my own thing, and RFK originally was running as a Democrat, and now he wants to kind of disassociate from what he calls the establishment. And I know people are exhausted with the two candidates. The chances of a middle independent run actually winning the ticket overall is probably unlikely, but the idea that we have some more than 20% support makes people feel like they actually have a choice when they don't like either candidate.
Kennedy was actually on a Chris Cuomo show. Here's what he had to say about what he's looking for in a potential running mate.
Many others. We liked Aaron for some of the reasons. I talked to Nicole for some of the same reasons. They're young. Our campaign is, you know, one of the principal priorities of our campaign is bringing young people into politics and addressing the deprivation that is now and the hopelessness that is affecting this generation.
So he mentioned age. Do you think a younger running mate will help bring that vote in?
I mean, it's if you believe that a VP sort of helps get somebody over the finish line. I mean, when you look at polls, you know, maybe it's marginal, the amount of how much it would help a particular candidate based on who they choose as their vice presidential running mate. And the fact that she's 38, maybe she can sort of help him in terms of tailoring his messaging to a younger generation. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to be the thing that's going to get him across the finish line or even win one state, which we should note, no third-party person has ever done in the Electoral College, ever.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. We have less than a minute. We know some of his positions. He's an anti-vaxxer. He says Israel has a right to defend himself. What do you think voters are gravitating towards when it comes to RFK?
I think just the idea of a choice. We know that a lot of Americans said they didn't want a rematch between President Biden and former President Trump, and so here we are. We all know that that's what's going to happen. And I think that especially when you talk about young voters, like you guys were just saying, this TikTok ruling really is jarring the people that spend the most time on there.
Right.
So people that are going to take on these one-off issues that maybe don't affect the majority of the voting population, but affect some of those fringe groups on the outside, like the voters of color and, you know, Latino voters. He's doing Viva Kennedy, trying to put his name back out there and get Latino voters to vote. I think it's all things that make people feel like there is a choice. And we haven't seen a third-party candidate have any real validity since Ross Perot in 1992.
Right.
And so he might be the person that's like, hey, third-party candidate, and a couple of years down the line might actually have a chance.
Can I just make one quick point
absolutely.
here? Don't forget, guys, 44,000 votes is the reason why Donald Trump is not in the White House for a second term right now in 3 different states right now. If Robert Kennedy is able to siphon off any votes for Joe Biden in a state like Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, any of that stuff, that's going to be the difference between Donald Trump being in and Joe Biden being in.
Really, really good point. Baker, Lindsey, thank you so much, guys.